Hi everyone, let's talk about Flick 'em Up Dead of Winter, which is a really nice dexterity game. I haven't played the original Flick 'em Up because, the idea of, team versus team doesn't really excite us. For a start, it's mainly only two of us, so that whole thing isn't as interesting anyway, even though you control the whole thing yourself anyway. It's not as interesting, and, fighting in teams against each other, not really, we weren't really that interested, and I'd kind of dismissed Flick 'em Up Dead of Winter myself as well until I realised that it had a co-op mode. And I was thinking I was trying to think, how have they made it cooperative? It doesn't make any sense. What's going to be happening are we going to try and flick for the zombies ourselves? No, you use that zombie tower, and it is surprisingly effective. It's a random element, but it's a really interesting one, because you can kind of judge, the rules for how the zombies are going to come in based on the loud, quiet action that you did. Sometimes it works in your benefit, because if you do a quiet action and the closest zombie to you is lying down, it's stood up now, so it can be shot by somebody else, because the only way you can really get rid of a lying down zombie is to be stood next to it and do that special action that I mentioned. So sometimes standing them up is really helpful. As I think I mentioned in the playthrough as well, we played our first game almost to the end before realising that we'd read through all the rules, but then completely forgot the part where after you do the loud zombie rush, after you set it up, before you make them fall, you stand everybody else up. And that is a hugely, hugely important rule. And I don't think it's an easily missed rule. It's very clearly printed in the rulebook, but we, for some reason, just forgot about that rule. And we're kind of thinking, how are we supposed to kill all these zombies? They're all lying down. They're supposed to keep standing up. So it's a really nice thing, and the way they come in each round as well. It's a really nice looking thing as well. The bin has got the nice little things that hang off the back of it to show you how many are coming in each round. That's a really nice little thing as well. And posting the zombies through the little letterbox is quite satisfying. I only showed you the basic playthrough, so that didn't include things like going into the buildings. We only had to go into the RV. Whereas you can go into buildings in the other scenarios and you can get items and things and try and hide from the zombies, but the zombies can come into the buildings and you have to have these special fights with them. You can get barricades to try and keep them out as well, and the mission objectives change quite a bit as well. There will be some going around the town trying to find certain things and bring them back to other locations, rather than this is an introductory one. As I mentioned, it's simpler and quicker than the other scenarios. The other thing I was excited about before I got the game was the mention of Crossroads cards, because I've played Dead of Winter quite a few times when that came out. And the bit I really like about Dead of Winter is the Crossroads cards. I don't particularly... the game is great, but it's not really for us in the end. We didn't really want to keep it, and our friends had copies, and if we ever want to play it, it's around. But yeah, the thing I really liked in Dead of Winter was the Crossroads cards. If you haven't played Dead of Winter, when it's somebody's turn, I think it's the person to the left of you, a person on one side of you draws a Crossroads card, and it will say something like, if the person does this round, if they go to this location, or if they try and scavenge, or if it's this character, then as soon as this condition is met, stop them and read out this card, and it will give you a nice little story thing and an option, and it's a really, really nice little system. And so I was excited when this said it had Crossroads cards in it. The Crossroads cards don't really come in until the final co-op scenario. I'm not sure where they come in the competitive scenarios. I think it may be a similar thing. But anyway, the Crossroads cards in this are event cards, really. They are things like increase the markers on the zombie tower, and zombies always react as if you've made a loud noise. Some limit you. They have to, you have to do all of your actions with your non-dominant hand. Things like that. They are just random event cards, which is fine, but it's a bit disappointing because I was expecting Crossroads cards, because that would be really nice. I can understand why they haven't, thinking about it now, but it would have been a nice little thing, I think. There is the Betrayer and all sorts of things like that. If you want to include that, where it's got a huge deck of Betrayer cards. If you really want to make secret objectives that people have. Sometimes they're not betrayers, but sometimes for you to win, you would need certain tokens to be able to call yourself the winner. I just had to have a quick check, but the secret objectives come in at least one of the scenarios in the competitive section rather than the cooperative section. I'm sure you could include them if you wanted to, but you know, that's another part of Dead of Winter that I really had no interest in. You know, I really find that, you know, not satisfying in games at all, whether I'm the betrayer or not. It really just, you know, any kind of semi-cooperative is really, really not for me. But anyway, they are things that are in it, and I know they will really excite people that it's got all of these options. You know, the actual system itself I really like as well, and I didn't really pay that much attention to Flick 'em Up because I knew I wasn't going to get it, but the idea of, you know, rather than you're flicking your characters and things around, you get these special bullet things, and the way that the weapons work quite differently as well. Like there's a baseball bat as well that I haven't got to hand. That's not in the first scenario, but you have to kind of lay it out and then flick it by the bottom of the bat. I'm not sure what that's called, but you have to flick it by the bottom, and you can flick it so it spins if you want to as well. The knife is a nice touch where you have to stand it up and then flick it. And I love the shotgun as well, even though I'm usually terrible. I did one good shot in the playthrough, if you didn't see it. That is my first and only good shotgun shot, I think, where I had enough power in my finger to actually do something effective with it. It's usually when we've played before, I've really geared up and thought I was going to do something, but actually it came really, really weak, and maybe it touched some zombies, but didn't even knock them over. But I really like that system as well. And the rifle is nice, how that kind of lines up your shot. You know, just the general game itself, the basic game, is a really fun dexterity game. I will say that it probably wasn't a good idea to leave the tablecloth up. I probably should have lifted that off because the things slide a lot better on the table itself rather than this little felt that I have down when I'm filming. But it worked okay. You know, it works for Subbuteo, doesn't it? But they have different bases. So let's try and get this jumble of thoughts organised a little bit. Really, this is my first exposure to Flick 'em Up. Really, really enjoyed it. Really like the cooperative element to it, and the fact that the zombie tower works so well is a really big plus for it. And I imagine that's going to make the competitive games more interesting as well, because you have this kind of third independent faction. You know, you're fighting it out and doing whatever your objective is, but then the zombies are getting in the way as well, and you can't let them defeat you all as well. So it's not something I'm really interested in, the competitive team versus team scenarios, but I think that is a way to make it far more interesting than just team versus team. So the cooperative part of it, really good. Really like the zombie tower. Really like the look of it as well, and all of the lovely components that you get in the box. You know, it's not wooden. I remember the first version of Flick 'em Up was wooden, and then they did a plastic version after that. I don't think it's bad for being plastic. I haven't tried the wooden version myself, but I have played things like Catacombs, which is an all-wooden dexterity game, and this is absolutely fine. So really like the concept. It's got some good things that build off of that as you go through the main missions. If you are into, you know, the team versus team stuff and the betrayer stuff, there is even more for you in here. I'd wonder. The last mission does include those events, the crossroad cards, as I said, for the cooperative, and I wonder if that's the way that they're making it variable, where, you know, there's going to be different ones of these that will make it harder or unique based on what comes out. There is potential, though, for more scenarios. I'm not sure, as I said, I didn't really follow Flick 'em Up, the base game, that much to be able to see how much support came out for that over the course of the game, how many more scenarios came out. I know expansions came out for it, so if expansions or just more scenarios on the website would be a really nice thing, or if Board Game Geek users make some, then that would help, you know, with the longevity of the game. I think it's definitely got a lot of variety in there, though. I wonder with us, though, if we're never going to play with the competitive side, if there's going to be that much. But I don't think that's something to worry about. You know, that's many games down the line. I've really enjoyed this, and look forward to trying to get some semblance of aim or dexterity to be able to be halfway good at a dexterity game. But watch the playthrough and see if it looks like something you'd enjoy. That is Flick 'em Up, Dead of Winter. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you for the next game.